Hey everybody, I'd like to welcome you to a bonus edition of The Exchange this week. Matt Morgan, Glenn Coble, along with us for the ride. Remember, it's ourfriendlyforest.com for all the election items from the Donald Trump talking pen.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.
To the presidential predicto, to the statue of Donald Trump.
Open your heart to patriotism. There is no room for prejudice.
Birthday card,
Earlier this week,
Christmas card,
Quiet Christmas card.
those chips from overseas. Ourfriendlyforest.com. And by the way, we're decorated for Halloween here. We're celebrating the holidays. And Glenn, you've got a big, even though Halloween's not a holiday, people think it is, but it's not. Glenn, you've got a big event coming up on October the 18th.
October the 18th at 6:30 out at Tri Rivers in the multi-purpose facility. We're going to bring as many of the Democratic candidates out to visit with people. We're going to have their signs, so you can pick up a sign for each one of them. We're not bringing, Kamala's not coming, but we're trying to get Sherrod. And we do have Tammy Wilson coming. We have Leslie Verbus coming. Tammy's running for Congress against Jim Jordan. And Verbus is running for state rep. And we have Craig Swartz, who's running for the other side of our split divide for.
Who's he running against?
I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen it.
I just see his sign every morning as I drive up the boulevard. May the Schwartz be with you.
Now, I asked him if we could put one of our other candidates' signs with that, and he says, "That's my brother. He's doing it for me. I'm not going to ask him to put somebody else's sign up." So we haven't done it. But yeah, that's I love that. Well, may the Schwartz be with you.
Yeah, I think that'll get him a couple votes.
Yeah. Well, it's got me and my wife voting for it.
So that will be at Tri Rivers on the 18th at 6:30, free, open to the public.
Free, absolutely free. And you'll be able to ask the questions you really want answered. We're going to open it up. I'm going to explain to the candidates. They'll have 5 to 7 minutes to say what their stance is, and then we're going to open it to any question you want to ask. You can ask them the tough ones. You can ask them the easy ones. You can ask them whatever you want to. So, yeah, I'm looking forward.
And Glenn has also committed to coming back before the election, before Halloween, and being James Buchanan on this show in the full regalia and being James Buchanan.
You won't recognize me.
Oh, it's going to be great. I mean, Halloween, it's a costume. You're playing a part. It's election time, so it's great because he was president. And it's Dinner with the Presidents, where you will be performing that just days after.
Right.
So that will be coming up. You are not going to want to miss that show.
And when I put my first foot in here, I will be James Buchanan. I will not step out of character.
That's right.
I promise.
And James Buchanan, as we talked about in the last episode, I don't want to get too deep into it again. The most commonly asked question of James Buchanan is
he gay?
Is he gay?
And it's none of anybody's business. But the reason why they ask that is because he's the only single president ever. And that kind of raised a lot of eyebrows.
Now, we thought in this time of heightened tensions with the election coming up under 30 days, we would just do some fun topics here that have been around. And,
excellent.
Yeah, we always have some fun topics. So here's one for you. A woman wrote into the Washington Post. Now, I love that the Washington Post has an advice column. This is the greatest thing. I think it sells newspapers. It's kind of like Dear Abby. Oh, yes. A woman wrote into the Washington Post. Now, follow this. A woman wrote into the Washington Post because her boyfriend says that his mother will always be the number one woman in his life. They have been dating for a couple years. She told him that it's hurtful, and he doesn't budge. He is an only child. He says mom's number one. So, would this be a problem?
I'm confused. What?
See, that's why I said, follow me on this one.
See, I was trying.
Glenn, did I say that? I'm sorry.
I understood it.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to repeat the whole thing. You got to listen. You're gonna have to watch the replay to catch the question again.
So girlfriend
wants to know why his mother is
Right. The
more
girlfriend
important
wrote
than
to
the
the
girlfriend.
Yes.
I feel. See, I thought I had to make sure I was getting it right. I mean, I feel like this is a pretty self-explanatory answer. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it isn't though.
it's your
It is.
mother.
Yeah.
Your mother's number one?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd throw anybody
But you
under the
don't-
bus for my mom.
Oh.
I'm with you. Yeah. Now
You're married. You've been with your wife now longer than your mother.
55 years.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have told my wife that the two most important women in my life is my mother and my sister.
Well, my
And-
mother and my grandma.
Yeah, well, similar. I mean, I'm sure you have same reasons I do. But when my wife gave me the dirty look, I knew. Oh, and you too, honey.
Yeah, why would you say that?
Well, because they were so terribly important to me, and my mother and sister were both sent to earth by God, if there was
So
such a thing.
genuinely, your mother and your sister are more important than your wife.
Now, important.
Number one.
I have a deep spot for both of those that my wife doesn't fill. My wife fills spots that they don't fill.
Right, but this guy's saying the number one woman in my life is my mother.
He must be a Republican. Well, you know what I said about ignorance and stuff. But I just can't imagine anybody saying that some other woman's more important, especially if he's not married to.
And he's not budging.
Now
She told him that it's hurtful to her.
Now, okay, so now I wouldn't go out of my way, but like if I were asked by somebody who I was dating who the most important women in my life were, I would for sure leave them out of it. My mom and my grandma.
Well, they're going to leave you out of it
That's
because
fine.
they're not sticking around.
That's fine.
I agree with you, Matt. I think the woman that's asking that question should automatically realize that they are terribly important to you.
You wouldn't be here otherwise.
Yeah.
Now, wait a second. So your mother should come before your wife.
Yes.
Wow. Now, see, I wouldn't have thought that.
My mother had me, gave me life, brought me to this earth. My wife did not. My wife is...
But you chose your wife. You didn't choose your mother.
That's true. So therefore she should keep her mouth shut and be happy that I love her too. You said these are crazy questions. And that's a crazy question.
No, I can understand why this woman would be angry.
I think she put herself in that situation when she asked
Are
the question.
you?
Absolutely.
I don't think she asked the question.
Okay, well,
Oh.
I guess if he went out of his way to just be like, hey, by the way, just to let you know.
You don't count.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that that's a brilliant strategy.
Okay, would you like the woman you were dating or married to say, listen, my father is the number one man in my life,
Did
not
I
you?
ask, or did she just tell me out of the blue?
Would you take that well, Glenn?
Yeah, I loved he had a lot more money than I do.
Would she? Does she? Would you think your wife would say that?
I don't think either one of us have ever been put in a place where we actually had to pick.
Well, if you want to have a fight, have this conversation at home.
I'm going to ask her when I go home tonight.
Glenn, this is bad.
think-
She's going to find out after 50 years that mom's number one and not her.
It's 911, right? That's the number I need to-
911. You're going to have problems. I guarantee this is not going to go over well.
I think it really just depends on on like who asked or / who said, I suppose.
I don't think your mother can be the number one person in your life when you are living with somebody, when you are sharing the bills with somebody, when mom's got her own life to lead.
Yeah, but like, if it came down to like, if I had to choose between my mom and my girlfriend, I'm choosing my mom. Like,
Well, now, if I had to choose between my mom and my wife, I probably would pick my wife.
That why? This is, I think, the point here.
Because I've lived with her so long.
Yeah.
And we are... But, yeah. That's a tough question anyway.
That's why it was in the Washington Post. It's a
Yeah.
thinker.
Yeah,
Look,
it is a thinker.
I think if she asked it, it was a terrible decision to ask. And I think if
But
he
your
just out of the blue said it, he's got no
Stupid.
sense of awareness. Yeah.
I don't even think my mom would expect to be the number one if there was a woman in the picture.
I don't know that my mom would expect it, but
I know my mother wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you would say that they are if they're not. It's not that you don't love your mother. It's not saying you hate your mother. It's just saying that, there are seasons to life and your mom was there from born till 20, 21 now. It's a little older. But then another woman's going to come in and be with you till your death, and chances are that's not going to be your mother.
Yeah, but
And what about when a daughter comes in the picture? Is the daughter more important than the mother?
I guess if I...
That's a tough one, too.
I suppose if I had a kid, then yes, I guess the whole priority changes. I mean, you're legally obligated to... there's that whole thing.
I don't think there is a priority. I think you love them all.
Well, I mean,
I think you
yes.
love them all, but I
mean,
think...
like, you know, if somebody's having a...
What if they don't get along?
Yeah, like, if somebody's having, like, I don't know, like a cookout, and then, like, or you're, like, you know, like, I don't know. You could be put in a situation where you have to choose which, like, event you go to, per se.
So if your mom said, I don't like
you
that...
have to pick. There's priorities.
So if your mom said, I don't like that girl, leave her, okay. Because you know that mom was going to leave if you stay in that relationship, or certainly isn't going to come around as often.
Mom ain't gonna leave.
Mom ain't going to come around as often because you don't want to be around that girl.
She might not come around as often, but mom ain't gonna leave.
So you will take that.
I mean, I'd certainly, like, if she laid out, like, a valid, like valid reasonings, I guess, then I probably would. My mom's opinion matters to me. I mean, she's my mom. So, like, if she gave me, like, you know, reasons, like, and you know, sincere reasons, not just, I don't know, like, moms be weird like that sometimes. But, like,
she didn't like her eye makeup.
Yeah, she wears too much. Yeah, something like that. Like, I'd probably just be like, okay, and then at that point I might, you know.
I don't know.
But I don't. But
I think
also I've known my mom for, you know, ever, you know, as it would go, my entire life. You know, there's never gonna be a girlfriend / wife or anybody that I have that I will know my entire life.
Well, you're not going to know your mom your entire life if it goes the entire stretch.
Well, I mean, I will...
Be careful when you go out and walk across the street tonight.
Yeah. I mean, that is true. I mean, people see it in a... People really think, and that's why when you lose a parent, it's horrible. Because people don't think their parents are ever going to leave.
Right.
And that's one of the most difficult things that people ever go through. Because if you go through the normal scheme of life, they do.
I think it comes down to if anybody asks you questions like that, they're being ignorant. They're not.
But I don't think I don't think she was asking.
I think it was. I think it's. Well, okay. If she asked, I think she should. It was she put him in a bad spot, and I think if he just said it, then he's got no awareness. He's just stupid.
You know darn
frankly,
well. Oh, you know darn well the woman in the life wants to feel like the center of the universe.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna just. See,
I'm not sure I'm the center of my wife's universe.
I feel like this is going back to the whole conversation where, like, if like a, you know, your girlfriend or wife asks you, you know, do I look good in this dress?
You tell her.
She has.
Tell her you do. You do. You tell her you do.
Oh, absolutely.
You got it.
Even if her butt does look huge.
Even if it looks whatever. Because she's asking you because she wants to be reaffirmed. She don't want your honest opinion.
Oh, well, she
and you've got to know that.
And as a person who's been married as long as I have, we don't ask those questions of each other.
There you go.
Period. It just doesn't come up.
Yeah.
Good.
Matt doesn't seem to understand this. They're not really asking.
21.
Yeah, but they're not asking your opinion.
You can't ask for my opinion.
They're not
and be
asking
upset
for
when
your
I give you my opinion.
They're not asking for your opinion.
Look, just, at that point, just walk into the room and say, "Tell me I look good in the dress," and I'll do it. Because why not? There's no negative for me.
It won't hurt you a bit.
What's the negative if she says, "Do I look good?" and you go, "Yeah."
Well, I'm lying at that point.
What are you gonna do? How does that hurt you? I'm sure you've lied in your life.
I lie to my wife all the time. Don't worry about it.
There you go.
That's a good thing to keep in mind.
There you go. It's all
I'm sorry, honey.
Oh, Lord. Well, we better go on to a different subject because a lot of people are getting hurt on this one. But I don't think you tell the girlfriend that, even if your mom in your mind is the most important person in your life. I don't think you tell the girlfriend that. I don't think you should go asking
questions like that.
I don't know that she did.
Well,
this guy seems a little egotistical and kind of woo. Mom's number one. Well, fine. Go on vacation with mom. Why are you in this relationship anyway?
Yeah. You better check your other relationship.
Yeah, that's right. Why are you so close to mom? I mean, get away from mom a little while.
Nothing wrong with being close to mom.
No, I think I think being a little too close to mom is a problem.
Oh,
I do. I think people, they're a little too close with mom. They live with mom. They stay with mom a lot longer than they should. They always run to mom.
Yeah, I mean, I know people.
They live off mom. I don't think that's good.
I know people who graduated with me. I guess it's not specifically mom, but I know people who like graduated with me who still live with their parents, and like they might have a job now, but most of them don't pay for their own car, and if they do, they don't pay for insurance. That's on their parents' insurance. Things like that.
But mom's job is not to coddle you till you die.
Till she dies.
Right. That's not her job. I think at some point she should be off the clock, and if she raised you good enough, you should be able to take care of yourself.
As a father and a grandfather, I will be glad to coddle my sons and my daughter and all my grandchildren, and I will take care of them.
But you don't want to coddle. You want them to stand on their own.
I do want to coddle them, but they don't need it now.
But you want them to be successful. You want them to stand on. You don't want to coddle them.
Yeah, I do like kind of, especially my granddaughter. I like coddling her. She's really a sweetie. I have 2 really great granddaughters. I won't tell you which one I like better.
Oh.
Now there's another question.
You have a favorite. Everybody's got a favorite.
Everybody has a favorite.
Everybody's got a favorite. Yeah, you can lie, but we know you do. I have a favorite son.
Everybody's got
I do have a favorite son.
I have a favorite daughter.
I only have one daughter.
Right, but she's your favorite. I'll get you if you have a favorite child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
there's a truth.
She's not. He or she is not.
Oh.
Well, that wasn't an accident.
That was about a.
He or she is not a favorite to the point where the others are much less.
No. I think you love all your kids. I think you've got a favorite.
Yeah, there's just an edge there.
And you've said many times.
Oh yeah,
that your parents have a favorite.
Oh yeah, I'm certain. With me, my brother, and my sister have all gathered. Now my sister will say that that's not the case, but you know, looking at the circumstances, me and my brother have come to the conclusion that my sister was definitely the favorite.
What makes you think that?
Well, so like growing up, a lot of the time, my parents would be like, "Look, if you guys want to go to college, that's fine. We're all for going to college, but we're not paying for it. We ain't got the money to pay for college." And then so like I mean.
This really sticks in his crawl. I've heard this story before.
So I don't know, like, also there was my mom, my sister.
So they paid for your sisters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not like they help her. She has
presidential predicto.
But
were you your parents' favorite child?
I have absolutely no doubt.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Is Matt his mom's favorite child?
Not even a little bit.
See, I told you. He knows. He knows.
Well,
I'm not telling my wife to listen
my
to
mom,
this show.
My parents still pay for my sister. My parents pay for my sister's insurance. My sister drives my dad's SUV everywhere. She doesn't have a car. Oh, that was another thing. She said that my parents always told us that they're not getting us a car. Me and my brother paid for our own cars. We have our own gas. We have our own insurance. She has none of those.
She's in college, though.
She's in college.
Okay.
She can walk around. She'll be fine. There's a big campus.
Would you put your sister above your... Glenn would put his sister above his wife. Now, would you put your sister above?
I'll be 100%. If I had to rank my sister within my family, like my direct family, she'd be the bottom of the 5.
I would put my sister above my brother.
It sounds like it's not like it's a lot better now. Like when we lived together, it was more
brotherly troubles.
Yeah, a little.
Little.
When we lived all with my parents, there was like genuine like issues there. Like I disliked her, she disliked me. But I mean, and then she went off to. Me and my brother moved out, and we don't really talk much. But now when we see each other, it's a lot more civil. Like I like my sister. Don't get me wrong. Like I grew up with her. I mean, it's not like
why don't you find her on the show?
No, terrible.
Why? It'd be great to have her on the show sitting right here.
I don't think.
Yeah, I want to be at that one.
Yeah. What would be wrong with having her on the show?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, she'd probably be good on the show.
All right.
She's
Booker.
I don't know about all that.
What's the problem with having her on the show?
James Buchanan will invite her.
Yeah. And we know she'd be safe around him.
Kaylee. Kaylee, you want to go listen to James Buchanan give a speech?
And speak on herself. All right, we're going to get to another topic here. Now, this is going to be big. The #1 show on Netflix is Nobody Wants This. It's about a rabbi being in love with an atheist. I know you would like this topic, Glenn.
Okay.
All right. And people say that this could not happen in real life. But it's the #1 show on Netflix. And it's based on a true story. Now, the guy was not a rabbi, but he was Jewish. Now, is it possible?
Is it specifically for like not, I guess not rabbi, but specifically for like priest, rabbi, that whole thing, like heads?
You mean-
Yeah, head of the Jewish religion.
Well,
Head of that.
in
just
particular
any
church.
religion. That's that. I mean,
Yeah, we have a temple in Marion.
Yeah.
Is it for the
Over by
head?
me.
Is it the head of any religion though?
Yeah, could a religious person.
Or is it
The
so?
Pope-
Is
the
it
Pope
so?
would.
It's just religious people in general.
No, I don't know if it. Well, okay, fine, but I don't think that's the question.
Well, I mean, I was asking you like if it's like specifically the like because it's the rabbi,
Well, the
or if
show-
it's because
it's the
he's,
#1
like,
show.
religious.
Yes, this is the show. I've never seen it, but it's the #1 show on Netflix.
I mean, I guess either way, the answer probably the same. I think it's. I mean, anything can happen. I think it's certainly possible. I don't know what the
Ooh.
odds are, but I don't. I mean, people married like people who. Christian people marry non-Christians all the time. I assume it's the same way for every other religion.
Well, I think a different belief system and an atheist are that. Boy, if you're a rabbi, how do you explain that at the church social or the temple on Tuesday night?
Well, being an atheist, I'm probably a better Christian than most of my Christian friends. So I'm a good person, and I know a lot of not so good people that claim to be Christians. So what would the difference be?
I'm not saying that the connotation is that an atheist is a bad person. I'm saying that I think that most people in a religious position, the belief is you're going to a better place. The belief is you have to do certain acts on this planet to get to that place. The belief is that stories, or however you want to refer to them, in the past are absolutely true, like Noah's Ark and things of that nature. So I think there would be a lot of argument at some point here if one person absolutely believes the exact opposite of that.
I mean, I guess it just depends on how stark of a religious person you are.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
there
you're
are a
the
lot
rabbi of the church. I imagine you're pretty deep.
So
it's your
it's-
job.
So
My dad was the Methodist minister, and I don't think my father would have had a problem with an atheist being his wife. She wasn't.
I don't think it's really that big of a thing. I mean,
That's like, you're a union steward and you're married to somebody who hates the unions.
that's just a political view thing. I mean, that's just
Yeah, we'll get that together.
Well,
husband's trying to axe your job.
Well, it's
a
somebody
good
who doesn't
question,
believe
but-
in your job.
but if people are that closed-minded, they shouldn't get together. Period.
No, but I just think that's I think that's why it's the #1 show on Netflix, is people are waiting to see, can this work?
I think it's.
I wouldn't watch it.
No, it's not my show. I wouldn't watch it either. I'm with Glenn here, but I think it's.
Well, I'm not saying you gotta watch it.
I think
I'm
it's-
just saying this is what the show is.
I think it's
and it's
certainly-
#1.
People
I think it's
li-
realistic.
People
Realism,
like
kind of.
abuse. They like seeing other people abuse other people.
Well, I
And
don't.
that would bring up that.
But maybe this is a happy ending.
Well, maybe. You didn't say it was.
I don't know what the ending is.
I don't think.
I'm just saying I think
watching.
this would be problematic. I'm not saying it couldn't work,
Well, yeah,
but I think it's problematic.
I became an atheist long before my wife. Now, my wife is leaning that way now, but I became an atheist a long time ago, and it wasn't a problem for us because we both had similar questions, like why would God kill all his children in the flood? All these little babies were drowned to death. That was a major question that we both tried to answer. So I don't know. I don't think my dad would have had a problem marrying an atheist woman. I don't even think he'd tried to change her.
Now, did you ever tell your dad you were an atheist?
I wasn't until when my dad passed away. I was still professing to be a Methodist.
What kind of conversation do you think that would have been?
Well, we had several conversations about that. And he told me when I was probably 18 or so, I was in college, he said to me, Glenn, when you grow up, you'll either be the greatest Methodist or the greatest atheist. And I asked him why he thought that. Well, he thought I thought too much. And I do. I think about things like, why would God do this or why would God do that? I don't worry about it anymore because I don't believe there is a God. So
it sounds to me like he was not happy that you were thinking about those things.
I think he would have preferred that I was a strong Methodist boy, but I think he liked the idea that I was a questioner.
So what was the tipping point for you?
Probably the evangelical movement tied with all the corrupt television religion.
But couldn't they be just headed down the wrong path?
No, they're making money.
Well, yeah.
No, they're not heading any path. They're just greedy. Oh, well, I almost said a bad word.
What do you think, Matt?
I mean, I think that...
I mean, I interviewed Leroy Jenkins, the Reverend, and I never thought this was a holy man, but certainly I don't, and I interviewed him face to face in the Hog Rec Center, and it certainly wasn't like sitting across from the father of St. Mary's Church. I mean, they were different people. But now he would have professed that he had all the answers and he was a very godly man, but I don't think he necessarily was, and I wouldn't put him on the same level as Billy Graham.
That's one of the reasons my father loved Billy Graham.
Most people did.
But he did not profess to have all the answers. My father, if you had asked him about Noah's Ark or anything like that, he would have kind of fended off. Because he had a lot of questions himself, and he was a devout
is it
minister.
The whole like God's plan kind of thing? Like I don't perceive to know what he's up to.
Kinda, yeah. And I think he was right in his thoughts, and I think that most of the people that were his parishioners liked that style. We had one here in town who happened to be my minister down in Athens, Reverend Kiger, who preached much the same as my father. And I think he was, I don't know this to be a truth, but I don't think he was very welcome here in this town.
He was the chaplain at the hospital.
Yeah, I know he was. He was also the head minister at Epworth Methodist for a while. But I think he found a hard time because he was critically correct. I mean, he historically critically correct. That's kind of what my dad used to say. He would take history and tie it with religion without saying it had to be this way. Dad and I think Reverend Kiger would both say, we don't know.
Now, before the break, I want to get this one in. Now, it's not politics, but here we go. Vice presidential candidate Tim Walz is in a family rift with his brother Jeff, who is a Trump supporter. Mom, Darlene, is a lifelong Democrat, says she's staying out of it. But is it okay to be critical of your brother? But she's not being critical of the brother, I think.
Is it okay for Tim to be critical of his brother? Or vice versa?
Should his brother be critical of him?
Oh, I think he'll do whatever he wants to do. That's kind of the modus operandi for that type of person.
But should mom stay out of it?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Matt?
I think mom should stay out of it. I mean, that's politics, I guess, unless it started from a personal thing, in which case that's petty. But
and I guess they don't get along.
I think mom should stay out of it. But I don't think that. I mean, I think that he can do what he does. I don't think that it. I don't see it being any big thing.
But mom, we know mom's a lifelong Democrat. I would imagine that she's voting for Walz.
And she probably will not stay out of it, but will be more passive-aggressive in her attitude towards her Trump son.
We've got many more topics on the other side of this short but important break. Come back with us. Remember, ourfriendlyforest.com for all the items on the table. Hey, Scott Spears back with Matt Morgan and Glenn Coble here in the home stretch of this episode. Don't forget Glenn's big event, Democrat Palooza. out at the
Interesting.
see, there you go. Gave you a title. All the Democrats will be out at the Tri-Rivers multi-purpose room on Friday night, October the 18th, 6:30 p.m.
Free charge.
Free charge. And it should be a lot of fun. OurFriendlyForest.com if you want the Trump items.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.
There you go.
Is he paying for all this time?
Yeah.
Time you're
Well,
giving?
it came in items. Remember the Christmas card?
Ooh, it's a little
I
quiet.
just wanted to wish everybody a very, very
So you
Merry
got loud for you.
Christmas. We say Christmas again very proudly. Gonna have a great year. Be an incredible year.
People like him turned me away from the church.
Okay. And on that note, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders said her kids,
And her turned me away from the church.
Oh, her. Oh, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Okay. Said that her kids keep her humble, and Kamala Harris does not have anything to keep her humble because she doesn't have any kids. So, is Governor Huckabee Sanders correct?
She's a fool. That's all I can say about that response.
How are kids keeping her? I don't get it.
Well, I think when you're governor, you probably get a big ego, and everybody loves you, and la-di-da-di-da, but when you go home, you gotta change diapers.
Yeah.
That'll bring you right back down to earth.
How did you ever get away from being on Earth? Anybody that
People get the big head.
I know people get the big head, and the big head is unfortunately a systematic problem with running for politics, because you do think, because you get so many people tell you how wonderful you are. Even me, as a losing candidate, I had people come and tell me how wonderful I was, and I know I'm not wonderful. And if you start believing that crap, maybe you do need somebody to bring you down to earth.
Now, I would imagine that Kamala probably has a tremendous ego right now, being a candidate for the presidency of the United States and polling in the lead by 4%. And, I mean, I don't know how it could not go to your head.
Well, if it goes to your head, I think you're in trouble. And I don't think, yes, she's confident, but I'm not certain that she displays anything that makes her sound like I'm better than anybody else.
See, I think those are two different things, though. I think
They are, yeah.
Right, but I think essentially they come from the same place, though. It's the position and the job you've done, and that people like you either gives you confidence or gives you egotism. But I think it all comes from people liking what you do and telling you, aren't you great? Now, you can take that and turn it into ego, or you can take that and turn it into confidence that, okay, I'm good at this.
Yeah. Now, as you know, I was in athletics for 18 years. I had, I think, 12 or 14 of my athletes went on to play in the pros, and many of them became pretty big-headed.
Of course.
And but most of them, it only took 2 or 3 years, and they started realizing, wait a minute, I'm not all that, you know.
Come down to earth.
Many of them lost their jobs by somebody else, but it's kind of tough to keep people from getting that way if they have everybody coming up to them, telling them how great they are.
I mean, as rough as so. I mean, it's kind of just when you get to that point in like anything, like you brought up the sports there. Like, there's always going to be somebody who's there, who's, you know, younger, faster, stronger. There's always going to be somebody who's just a better option. They're not. I don't know how to really phrase it. Like, when you, like, if you're like for football, for example, if you play in the NFL, you're like the top 0.0001% of football players in the world.
Yeah.
So I mean, at that point, like
well, you have to know you're good.
Yeah, you're one of the yeah. So like you almost have to have a little bit of an ego.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't mean you have to be bad about it.
Oh no, I mean you don't have to be. You have to.
That.
You have to be able to recognize it at least.
And you have to be able to use it. Most of the kids that I had that were that good, and we did have some. Well, I had a first-round draft pick. Was one of my basketball players, and he was hard to deal with for the last 2 years in college, and the first year as a pro. But it didn't take him very long to find out there are other people that are faster and better, even though he was number one.
I mean, just like sports, especially like when you get to that level, like you've never not had a starting job, probably you've never not had an offer. So like, especially on signing days, like when you have to have the final roster, like that's a reality check for a lot of people because they're just done.
Well, yeah, and it's all different levels. I have what 7.
What was the original question?
I don't know.
Never mind. Go ahead.
And we're talking about how Kamala's possibly egotistical now.
No, that wasn't the original question. But go ahead.
I have had several children and grandchildren that have played in college or are playing in college, and they all understand that they use that confidence to help them play better sports, and I think that's what they have to do. I'm sorry.
Now back here at the Ponderosa.
Yes.
Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders said in a speech that her kids help keep her humble, and that Kamala does not have anything to help keep her humble.
Okay, well, I think Trump probably helps keep her humble to some extent. I mean, it's certainly not like a 150% thing that.
Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you. You're just honest people.
I mean, it's certainly not a 150% chance that Kamala wins. There's still like a decent chance that Trump wins. So I mean, I think she's not. I mean, you can't be, egotistical if you're fighting for your life to some sense.
This ties into something kind of interesting.
Even though she's in the lead.
Pete Rose recently died.
Yeah.
And this man lived into his 80s. He was never eligible for the Hall of Fame in his lifetime.
He cheated
because he bet on. He was a gambler.
Yep.
And a lot of people are sad now because this was a question for so long. Will Pete Rose ever be let back into baseball? Will he ever be in the Hall of Fame while he's alive? Well, the lifetime ban is over now. He's dead. So should Pete Rose now be put into the Hall of Fame? There's even controversy after he's dead that no, he shouldn't because, even in the second, I was interested the night he died on a Monday. And Tuesday morning, I couldn't wait to read his obituary because I wanted to see how high up in the obituary the crime of betting on baseball and would it be in there. It was the second paragraph. They went through his baseball career and immediately went into the bad stuff. It stuck with him till the day he died.
I have a lot of friends that think he should go into the Hall of Fame. I personally think he did something that he knew was against the rules, and it was absolutely against the rules. It wasn't.
It's posted in every office in Major League Baseball. You cannot bet.
I traveled with COSIDA, which is College Sports Information Directors of America, and we had a convention every year, and we were not allowed to have a convention in any town. Now, this shows you how old I am. In any town that had betting, and I believe he knew the rules.
Oh, he knew the rules.
And I think he should have been banned permanently.
All right, well, he kept lying.
Yeah, he did.
It came out that the year he was banned, I believe was 1989, that the commissioner of baseball went to him and said, listen, we're going to ban you for a year. If you admit today, if you come out publicly and say you did bet on baseball and that you will never gamble again, in 1 year we'll reinstate you. And he would not do it. And he did. He lied for years and years and years. And first it was, I never bet. And then we found out he gambled. Then he said, well, I never bet on baseball.
Sport, yeah.
And then we found out he did bet on baseball. Then he said, never on my team.
Yeah.
Then we found out he did bet on his team. So, as a manager. So, I mean, that was Pete's problem. People are like, well, he gambled and that's why he was kept out of... No, the man continued to lie and continued to gamble till the day he died.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think if
he lived in Nevada.
I think if I was the commissioner of a sport and I had a and I knew that one of the managers was betting on games. I mean, I'd ban him for life. I don't even think I'd give him a chance to be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like you are.
Well, how dumb must Pete Rose have been? I hate to say this after his death, but he knew they did an investigation. He knew they had the goods on him. And they never spilled them, by the way. that Major League Baseball, they spilled the rules that they thought he gambled, but they never said he gambled on his own team. They never said that he gambled on baseball. They said they believed it. I don't think they ever fully released that report, the full breadth of it, because Pete Rose denied. I think they said they thought he did. Well, the goods finally came through, and Pete himself finally admitted it eventually when it just got too heavy.
I have a lot of Reds fans, friends, that will always love him and always want him to get into the Hall of Fame. And I understand that. But I think the baseball world did the exactly right thing to do.
Now that he's dead, should he be in?
No.
I agree. I think that you know when you especially when you're a manager, if you are in part of the sport in general, I don't think you should be betting on the sport. It damages the character of the game, so to speak.
You know, Bob Costa said something recently that I thought was fascinating. He said he thought that, and I hope this is what Bob said, but he said he thought that Pete Rose should have been put on the ballot, but still, even if he would get elected, not allowed in, to see if the players had enough respect to put him in. And I thought that was interesting, because I wondered, because we acted, because the people who bet on the Hall of Fame are the players. Mm-hmm. Now, did the players have a bad taste in their mouth about that? We never really knew, because he was never allowed on the ballot. Now, it'd be interesting if he was, and I don't think Costas said he should have been allowed in the Hall of Fame, just allowed to be on the ballot. Let's see if overwhelming numbers came in, because baseball still could have said you can't be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know. I think that if they put him on the ballot and then he got overwhelming numbers, I think at that point, what are you going to do? Tell all the people who voted for this man, hey, I know that he's by far in the lead for this vote, but number 2, we're going with him.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing they pretty well did. I mean, people who were cheering him on in Major League Baseball expressed their opinion.
Did he ever bet against his own team?
I don't know that he ever bet against them. I don't know.
I don't know that either. Yeah.
Why does that matter?
Because if he bet against his team, there's how easy it is to throw a game?
Yeah, but you know how your team is. I mean, I'm sure what's the difference between that and not betting on your team when you know there are injuries? Or you think they're not going to win, so you're not going to bet on your team, but you know that the other team's got some injuries, and you know that your team looks pretty good, so you do bet on them. It's the same thing.
I mean, the injury report comes out every week for football. At least I don't know how it works for every other sport. But yeah, I mean, injury report comes out every week. So,
you think the manager doesn't know?
They know just as much as you do.
You think the manager at batting practice doesn't know that his player's playing extremely well, and that in 1989 there's no internet? That's not getting out.
Yeah. Now the next question I would ask, was he even good enough to be in the Hall of Fame?
He became probably more famous than most players because of
that. Yeah. I never thought he was that great a player. I thought he was a good player, but I wouldn't have voted for him if I had.
You know what's interesting? He right up till the day before he died, he was still signing autographs, and he died of a heart attack, I believe, is what it was ruled.
Yeah, I think.
But this man, earlier this year, was a story on one of our shows, because when sports betting became legal in Ohio, who was the person who placed the first bet? Pete Rose.
Is that right?
And at that time, I said, Pete, you cannot continue to do this. And you wonder, because he would always, why can't they let me in? Why won't they let me in? Well, because you do things like that. Why do you continue to do stuff like that? And he did it for money. There's no doubt in my mind that they paid him big money to be the first person to place a bet. Stop that.
Yeah.
I mean, he clearly had a problem. He had a problem, just as bad as Art Schleister had a problem. Now, I don't know that Pete Rose ever stole.
I mean, how much you paying me to place this bet?
I'm sure he got paid.
Well, damn, you paying me to place a bet? I'll place a bet. Now,
yeah,
I'll place a bet that's.
But can you also come out on television and
what
say,
you gave me?
Yeah, but then can you turn around in an interview and go, "Oh, I cannot understand why Major League Baseball will not let me back in."
Oh no, if you're gonna be a sellout, you got to be a sellout.
But that's what he
did.
did.
Those are the rules.
That's what he did throughout his entire life.
If you're gonna be a sellout, you got to be a sellout. Those are the rules.
It's like he didn't understand. It's like he could not get that through his head, that he kept snubbing his nose at Major League Baseball, and he was totally oblivious to it.
He thought he was better than the people around him. Much like our past president.
But you know what people did? I saw a guy who I believe is a decent thinker post on his Facebook page the day after Pete Rose died. He apparently was at some kind of routine checkup, and I think this was meant to be a joke, but there was some truth in it. He said the doctor came in and he said, "Is there anything bothering you or causing you any pain at this point?" And he says, other than the death of Pete Rose. You know, Pete Rose was God to people. And, you know, everybody knew his name. Everybody knew who he was, even if you weren't a baseball fan.
I usually, because of my former business, I usually knew people that would know people like Pete Rose. I knew no one that knew Pete Rose, and I wonder if that's because nobody liked him.
Well, it's very interesting that I know people who knew Pete Rose, and they did not like him.
They did not like him.
They did not like him. They said he was not a nice man.
Yeah. Well, then he deserves what he got.
And I just don't think he should be allowed in the Hall of Fame now, because what's the point? He's dead. I mean, big deal. He's always going to be remembered as a player who did an awful thing. That's always going to be there.
And he was only a good player. I don't think he was way outstanding. Do you think he was outstanding?
I think he was actually a better manager. I think that gets overlooked. I actually think he was a fair manager for the Reds.
Okay.
You know, they always say that the person who recruits the team, puts it together, is the team that goes to the big World Series or so on and so forth. Pete Rose left in '89. I think the Reds won the World Series in '92. I'm sure that was a lot of Pete Rose's doing that got them there.
Yeah.
I don't know much about baseball.
Just telling you.
I know.
So we all agree that Pete Rose still should not be put in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. Some people disagree, but maybe they didn't know old Pete. This is interesting. Recently, former President Trump posted, "I hate Taylor Swift." Now,
That's no good.
Yeah, that wasn't a good move. It has activated the Swifties. And Taylor Swift's best friend, Brittany Mahomes, who recently expressed her support for Donald Trump, now says she's rethinking her MAGA support. Because he said this about Taylor Swift.
I'm telling you.
Do you follow that?
It's a cult over there.
Yeah, it's kind of...
I don't know if that's a cult. That's her best friend.
You attacked the leader. I got to be against you now. Oh, it's a pretty cultish.
No. That's the leader's
You can dislike
best.
somebody I like.
Really? Would you vote for somebody who said, "I hate your
Taylor
best"?
Swift?
No. Your best friend. Like if you had two kids, really, you would.
I mean, I know a lot of people. Like I have friends, and I know people who don't like my friends who I'm friends with.
No.
So I don't
But
think
you'd vote for that person?
Yeah.
I mean, that. Oh, I don't.
I agree with you. If they
I mean,
had
if I
good
thought they were going to
thoughts
be,
and good
if
ideas-
they were going to be the better candidate, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I have friends who dislike my other friends.
Where's
It's not-
your loyalty?
I hold no
I have-
grudges
yep.
or loyalty.
Exactly.
Except to your mother. You boys and your mothers.
That's right.
Just like James Buchanan. I bet he loved his mother too.
I am no longer my wife's best friend.
No, let's get real here. If your best friend, if somebody says, "I hate them," you're going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to vote for that person. That's a good person right there."
Well, first of all, I dump that person as my best friend because I don't think anybody should hate anybody.
No.
I truly don't believe that.
You dump your best friend?
So,
No, I wouldn't dump anybody. I just think it's stupid to say I hate anyone.
But you'd vote for that person.
If they were the best of the at the job.
But you think they're stupid.
Well, I would say that they were ignorant in their statement.
I don't know. I have at least that much loyalty to a best friend.
I don't have loyalty, I guess.
I don't know,
Well, it's good to know. Good to know where it lies.
like I said, I know a lot of people who dislike, or I talk to and or am friends with a lot of people who dislike my friend, like my, I guess, main friend group.
Why would you do this?
Why would I do what?
That's why this
Say
is
I hate
not
Taylor Swift?
No, not Taylor. It's your best friend. That's the whole point here.
I don't think you can choose your best friend. I think you fall for your best friend.
Right. Well, this person ain't falling for him who says, "I hate them." And you don't know that person who said, "I hate your best friend."
I'm confused.
But
at
you
what the
vote for them?
question is.
Would you vote for somebody who said they hated your best friend?
Yeah, if they were the best for the job, I would.
Oh, see, I don't know.
Especially because I know that the only reason they said it is because that they endorsed the other candidate, and they don't even know my best friend.
Well, I think Brittany
I'd be
Mahomes
like,
is apparently
it's politics.
I think friendship is a little thin.
Yeah, I think it's that. That's not loyalty at all.
Blood is always thicker than water. I'm not related to,
I don't think there's any blood in this at all.
No.
What's so good
Maybe
about
blood-
loyalty?
What's so good about loyalty?
Yeah.
You should be loyal to people who are loyal to you.
Why?
Because if not, you turn up like Benedict Arnold, and in history, your Major League Baseball was loyal to Pete Rose, and he was disloyal.
You know, if you look into the whole Benedict Arnold thing, I have a little bit of sympathy for the man. Like,
should he be in the Hall of Fame?
You know, look.
No, he couldn't.
Benedict Arnold. Benedict Arnold said, "Hey, look, guys, I have this great plan," and then they did the plan, and then somebody else took credit for it, and then he was like, "All right, cool," and then he once again said, "All right, guys, look, I have this great plan," and then they did the plan that he had a different plan, and he was like, "You know, it worked well," and then somebody else took credit for it.
So you're willing to stand up for Benedict Arnold, but not for your best friend?
Well, Benedict Arnold got...
Thank God you cleared Benedict Arnold there, but what about your best friend?
That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is Benedict Arnold had brilliant ideas, and then all of a sudden somebody else said, "Oh yeah, that was my idea," and then Benedict Arnold ended up like, "You know what? I'm with the British now."
Well, that's not good. Did you?
I'm okay with
what,
it.
you don't want? You don't want loyalty?
I'm not a big fan of loyalty for loyalty's sake. I'm a big
No,
fan.
not loyalty for loyalty's
Well, that's
sake.
the way you're making it sound.
No, I'm saying you're loyal to your best friend because they're good to you.
I have to dislike somebody who hates my best friend?
No, I'm saying you don't want to vote for somebody
Why?
who hates you.
It's
Because
not like I'm voting to see who they like.
Oh God.
I'm putting them in the presidency. It's not like they're gonna like execute like my best friend or something. Like it's.
What if your best friend is gay and that person that wants
Here we go again.
if they're gay and
James Buchanan just showed up.
and that person hates gay people? I mean, there's ignorance all around. So I don't know.
I don't think. What about the mother? What if I hate your mother? Now is that okay?
It's their life, not my mother wouldn't give
I'm
a
going to
rat's
vote for
behind.
that. No, but would you give a rat's behind?
No, I wouldn't.
Oh well, I mean.
I wasn't that loyal. I loved my mother, but I'm not going to worry
I don't know,
about
yeah, I don't-
who hates her.
I mean, my mom do her own things, I guess. Like I love my mom, but like you know.
Oh, this is all talk though, because I know darn well that if somebody truthfully said, "I just hate your mother," "I just hate your best friend," it would not go over well.
No, I'd probably say why.
Yeah, that's what I'd ask.
Yeah.
Why?
And then you know I get the reasoning. I'm like, you know, fair enough.
You got a reason.
They're awful. That's what some ambiguous answer.
I'd really ask why then. Why do you think they're awful?
Yeah, I'd probably just laugh and be like, whatever, and then just like
If I
I'd
know
probably
somebody-
shrug it off, honestly.
Because to me that seems like a low blow.
If you don't have a valid reason, I'd probably shrug it off. If
You're
you
not
had a valid
saying I
reason,
disagree
then you
with
had a
their
valid
policy.
reason.
You're not saying I disagree with their policy. You're not saying I disagree with who they are voting for. You're not saying this in any kind of diplomatic way. You're saying I hate that person.
Just because you hate them?
Right. So that's. I mean,
I don't hate anybody
I mean,
like
I don't.
that.
No, I don't know that it was a good
I can
move,
tell you
but
Oh,
exactly
I think
why I
there's-
hate Trump, but I can't tell you anybody else that. I mean, I have reasons for my hate.
Well, speaking of Taylor Swift,
Okay.
she's being blamed for Travis Kelce not having the best season this season.
I agree.
Now, what is she doing?
You
We
know.
wouldn't even know who this man was if it wasn't for
No,
her.
no. I knew who he was.
Nobody else did.
I didn't know Taylor Swift was a billionaire until she got with Travis Kelce. That's all I'm saying. I didn't know Taylor Swift was as big as she was until she hopped into the football
trust
realm.
me, she's 100 times bigger than him.
But
she makes a lot more money, that's for sure.
Well, she's certainly more well known.
but like
we don't care
Yeah.
who he's endorsed.
she's got like Travis Kelce up there doing like gimmick things on the stage. Like he was up
Think
there
about
doing
that.
like dances and
Yeah,
stuff
and
and
him
like
dancing in a
I
tuxedo.
was like, you're a football player. Get to practicing or something. Stop doing whatever you're doing.
He's having a good time.
No, he's wasting his career. That's what he's doing. Best tight end in the NFL is throwing it away for Taylor Swift.
I think it's very important, relationships with athletes. I know for a fact my grandson, who signed with North Carolina to
That's pretty
pitch,
cool.
he would have stayed with North Carolina. He ended up switching and going to North Carolina. I can't remember the branch name of the North Carolina that he went to, but he quit because of his girlfriend. She didn't want him there.
What does mother say?
His mother was unhappy, but
He didn't care. He said, the girl's number one, mom's going to have to take a back seat.
I don't know what went on between those two. I know that it may have wrecked his opportunity to be a Major League Baseball player.
But he has love.
But yeah, and he really does
That's all
care.
it takes.
He really does care for this girl. But what will bother me is if it turns out my youngest son dated a girl, and he was an All-American, and it was very important, and she was important to him, and she dumped him, and his season went to hell in a handbasket.
That's right. Wait till Taylor Swift dumps this boy. Then you want to hear about a bad season.
Oh,
You'll
no.
see it then.
I'm hoping that Taylor Swift dumps him and then he just starts putting up like 4 touchdowns a game or
Oh,
something.
no. He'll be
He's like,
crying.
you know what?
He'll
This
be
is good
crying on the field. There'll be wet spots all over the field even when it's not raining.
You have to go to the bathroom?
I'm not going to be on the field.
She'll write a song.
Yeah, she'll write a song a whole bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's get this story. I think this is fascinating because
Okay.
we've all been in media. RFK Jr. was sent a nude photograph.
That's the guy I was talking about with the bear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. RFK, it all comes together. RFK Jr. was sent a nude photograph from a reporter named Olivia Nuzzi.
Yeah,
Good name.
I saw it.
Who did a recent profile on RFK Jr. for New York Magazine. Now, since then, she's been suspended. She says the relationship was not physical.
Yep.
So, is it okay? Is it okay to send nudies?
I would say no.
Why would you?
Is it okay
send
for
a-
Newsy to send nudies?
Why would you send a nude picture to somebody?
Yeah,
Well, take a guess.
I don't know.
That's
that I'd be-
exactly the problem.
I don't know that.
Trying to get. That's another thing with my grandson. I told him one time. I said, "You're just hanging with her because you're getting a little." Excuse the expression.
Boy, I don't remember
And he-
those conversations with my grandpa.
He about went
Boy,
through
when
the
were
ceiling.
me and Grandpa didn't have those type of conversations. I don't recall.
But I don't know. I read that story about her and I thought that's really cheap. She deserves whatever she
Maybe
gets,
she likes
and
him.
so does he. If they're going to play that game.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so this is the tech age, and
It doesn't make any. When I was that age, I used to fool around like that too.
take nudes.
No, but
I've asked a
I
lot
would
of
have
questions on
gladly
this show,
accepted
but
one.
I don't think I've ever asked that one.
well, would you like
Well,
to see one of them?
No. You can keep those Polaroids. I don't need that. Okay. Matt, what do you think?
Well, I certainly think it's no good. I wouldn't be sending any nude photos, especially not to a presidential candidate that I just interviewed. I feel like that might backlash a bit on my interview, make it look bad. Like
Well, that's probably the only thing I have.
softball interview.
Well, yeah, I think that's what's wrong with this, is that she did the profile and clearly she liked the guy.
Well, how about that lady that's hanging around with Trump right now? I can't remember what her name is.
Laura Loom.
Yes.
Loomer.
It's basically the same thing. She's kind of...
I don't think she's a reporter.
No, but she's showing him some skin that probably shouldn't be seen. But, well, I mean, that's kind of the way that whole genre plays with each other. I don't know what happens to men that they... Well, or women.
But she did it.
Yeah.
Why is this RFK's fault?
Well, it's not.
There you go.
Unless he asked for it.
Yeah, if he asked for it, I guess I guess at that point it's both of their fault.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Not good for him to ask, and then certainly not good for her to be like, yeah, okay.
don't send nudes.
Yeah, no.
Just
No.
don't send
If
nudes.
you are, send them to me and that'll get it all out of the way.
I'm telling you what. Boy, I hope your wife doesn't watch these shows. I'm telling you, if you send the nudes, they'll be there forever.
Oh, they will.
Yep,
Yeah.
they'll be there
Don't
forever.
remember that. You're making a mistake when you do the nudies.
You want to see one?
No, I don't want to see it. Is it a Miss Newsy? Now, tell us about your event, Glenn. We've only got 90 seconds.
Oh, okay. It'll be on Friday night at 6:30 on the 18th of this month at what's the name of it?
Tri Rivers.
Tri Rivers Career Center in the multipurpose room. It's absolutely free. We're bringing in all the Democratic candidates, and you can ask them any questions you want to.
If you'd like the Christmas card, if you'd like the pen, if you'd like the birthday card, if you'd like the presidential predicto, if you'd like the doll, go to ourfriendlyforest.com or listen to WGH Radio every morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Until the election, we'll be giving away items to callers listening to this program. ourfriendlyforest.com. O-U-R. All right. Well, this has been a very interesting episode, and there'll be no nudes sent out with anything.
Oh.
I know. So, well,
What a
you won't be
disappointment.
participating, Glenn. And did you ever have that conversation with your grandpa about getting some?
Funny Funnily enough, one time.
Oh, God. Well, thank God we're out of time.
I had it once with my dad.
I guess I've been deprived. I haven't had these conversations with family members. For Matt Morgan, Glenn Coble, this is Scott Spears heading for the dugout.